It's the second day of Festival of Media Global in Rome. I'm delighted to be here with Publicis Media's Steve King. You've just come off stage with our lovely chairman, Charlie Crowe. Did you have fun?
Sure did, yeah. Can't help to have fun with that, Charlie.
This is very true. And you say you arrived yesterday at Festival of Media. What have you seen so far?
Saw a couple of the sessions yesterday, saw the opening session today. We've had a very nice dinner last night in the centre of Rome. Got caught in a thunderstorm, but not quite what we wanted, but very nice so far.
You've been fitting a lot in then,
Yeah.
all sorts of weather and everything. And it was Hussein you saw this morning then?
That's right, yeah.
What did you think?
I thought it was great, really good session, and I'm looking forward, if I can, to one or two of the sessions this afternoon. Very, very eclectic, interesting session. I think the problem you and Charlie have is what you're going to put into what you put into this. 10 years ago, the sessions were very linear, very veneer, but now the media industry transcends so many different areas, from data to technology to analytics. The questions I got asked were about content and creative. That wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. Trust, transformation, what's happening in our business model. So
I love the bit where you said about 10 years ago when people were saying, will this internet thing be an issue?
Yeah. Well, it seems unimaginable. Just 10 years ago, there was a panel, and I remember, there was media agencies, this internet thing is not really going to be disruptive. It's not really have an impact in our industry. I remember newspaper publishers saying, people are not going to consume news, not going to pay news on the internet. Well, so it's just incredible. So when people ask what's going to happen in the next 2 years, show you the last 10 years, show how difficult it is to predict. And the next 10 years is definitely going to be more volatile than the previous.
I'm sure that Hussein will be back telling us about the tech we've got in space or something by that point. Last time I spoke to you, it was to do with the big reshuffle. Obviously, we're a couple of months in now, so
3 months.
Are you able to make any comments on how you think it's going, what you think has worked?
Well, I'm really not really in the best impartial position, because I'm going to tell you it's going well.
It's fabulous.
But having said that, I think, if you look at the transformation at a Publicis group level, I think, the results from clients have really been very, very rewarding. I think this creation of these 4 solutions hubs around clients, it's not something you're going to be able to put into place in, let's say, 90 days, but it really transformed the sort of mindset of the holding company and the way that we're thinking about clients. And I'm sure by the end of this year, every single client in Publicis Group will have observed and hopefully seen the benefit of this new organisation. In the media world, when we spoke, it was at the beginning of our journey, and as you know, we've now put into place a very, very different organisation. We've got, as I mentioned to you, this thing I'm leveraging, which is last mover advantage. We spent quite some time, my management team, talking to clients, seeing how we could build a business model that had the right degree of transparency and trust, and then build a business model that was based on the modernity and the access to data, technology, analytics, smart people, in order to build a really compelling business proposition. So I have to say, in terms of the adoption and the acceptability of the plan, I'm really very pleased.
So pushing forward with that, going back to the conversation you just had with Charlie, something you were talking about that's affecting our industry a lot, I guess, are macroeconomic factors. Which do you think are the big ones to be looking out for at the moment?
Yeah, I think it's probably 2 big ones, if I'm honest. One is we used to people like me would sort of boringly say, look, the fast-growing markets, the emerging markets in China and Russia and India and South Africa, etc. And right now, actually, we see the sort of real growth coming, other than China, also from the US, which still, is driving the global media economy. And in contrast, those countries which we saw huge double-digit growth for the last decade, are really struggling. Places like Russia and South Africa, obviously lots of the Middle East, either because of battles or, strife in those areas, conflicts, obviously oil pricing and political situation in Russia, and then sort of political difficulties in lots of the African markets. So it's, we've actually seen a shift, funny enough, that focus really away from what we would call the fast emerging market. And it's some of the larger, more traditional markets which are really driving it. The fast emerging markets are really the US and China now. Right now, of course, as everybody knows, it's this thing called a quadrennial year, and as you heard me say, Charlie asked me what we thought was the impact of the 3 quadrennial things, which is the Olympics, the World Cup, and the US elections, and we think it's somewhere in excess of $6 billion of additional money this year. So that has quite a big spike on the ad forecast. So, this year, we were perhaps a little cautious at the beginning of the year because the overall macroeconomic indicators were not perhaps so great. But actually, it looks like we'll probably be quite optimistic that our forecasts are going to be achieved and possibly exceeded.
Another thing I thought was quite interesting that you talked about was that you've done a survey with how people think Brexit will affect them, and it's massively negative.
Yeah. Well, negative about Brexit, certainly. I mean, of the major clients that I've spoken to, when we've also, as you know, we had the Scottish devolution, and most clients would not want to be quoted on that. They wanted to be, some of our banks, for example, reason I understand, they wanted to be impartial and neutral. Many of our big clients are coming out and saying this is going to be really damaging for the British economy and for their workforce. We're doing a survey, as you know, in terms of our major customers, just to try and really get some sort of objectivity on that. And we've also done some analysis. We've been asked the question, what impact do you think it would have? And we think if Brexit does happen, it's going to have a negative, something like a £1 billion negative impact on the US ad economy over the next 10 to 15 years. So it's really quite, certainly from our industry, it's one of the biggest concerns that we've got is the whole Brexit situation. It's concerning in mainland Europe, and it's definitely concerning UK advertisers.
You also discussed with Charlie some of the big trends that are affecting the industry at the moment. Which ones do you think are the big ones that you're concerned about?
How long have you got?
I mean, particularly, I'm talking about mobile and video.
I mean, there are so many. I think I think probably the biggest trend of all is that, clients which for so many years have just looked at us to be the executional agency and now looking at us to play a very, very different role, trying to take a position, far more ubiquity and value to them in terms of about how we leverage data and analytics and technology as well as media execution to make sure we're in the right channels in order to deliver more effective connectivity with customers in different points in the customer journey. That is a very, very different role. So that touches all the different areas, talking about the internet, mobile, newspapers, magazines, but I think that's probably the biggest challenge. And I look at our organisation today, it's unrecognisable from 10 years ago in terms of the number of econometricians, data scientists that we have, etc. And, as a consequence, the value and role that we're playing with clients is really quite transformed.
Talking about transformations, digital and tech transformations are obviously a big thing you've been talking about as well. How do you think they're going to affect this industry?
Well, I think what we see is as the move goes from analog to digital, and we see that connectivity that happens between customer experiences and CRM and data usage, those different disparate areas become far more integrated. So it's about there's now how do we use our different assets and parts within the group in order to connect these different skills together in a much more interdependent way. That's really our focus. So it's really, as you can tell, the reason that the media agencies right now I think are pretty robust. I certainly feel very positive about the opportunity we've got as an industry as a whole, and particularly for the company that I run. It's because of the changes that have been brought about consumer behaviour, consumer empowerment,
consumer trust as well,
and accelerated by technology. So technology and consumer behaviour is transforming our whole landscape.
Brilliant. Well, what else are you looking forward to at Festival of Media?
Getting home early tonight.
Well, me too, but don't let anyone else know, hey?
Okay.
Have a great end of festival. Lovely to meet you.
Nice to see you again. Bye-bye.